I've been crystal clear on this for many, many years. I do not think any provinces should be proactively, preemptively using the notwithstanding clause. What they're doing is suspending fundamental rights and freedoms and preventing the courts from even being able to weigh in on that. As a government, we will always stand up for people's fundamental rights and freedoms. We've committed that we are going to engage at the Supreme Court in the current case on C20 on Bill 21, and we're going to continue to look at the best ways to make sure that right across the country, every Canadian has their fundamental rights and freedoms protected.
I want to play that again, but I know that there's going to be some serious audio contrast issues between my mic, and I hope I'm on the right mic, and that is pathological psychopathy. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm a lawyer. That is pathological psychopathy, narcissism, borderline person, whatever you want to call it. It's clinical. It's clinical, and it's the type of gaslighting. I'm trying to find an analogy because I can't think of any analogy more egregious than having someone come up to you, slap you in the face, and as you recoil and put your hand on your red cheek and you say, "What the hell did you just do?" They sit there and say, "I didn't do anything. What are you talking about? Your cheek was like that when I got here." I have to break this down, and I'll probably have to say what he's saying a little louder because this is pathological gaslighting. This is doing exactly what you are accusing others of doing, condemning others for doing exactly what you have done. Exactly. And you either rely on the victim. Get over here. You either rely on the victim to be so baffled by the sheer audacity of the gaslighting, or you rely on ignorant spectators who didn't just see you walk up to the person and slap them in the face. And so when everyone starts screaming, everyone's like, "What just happened? I didn't see it." And one person says he slapped me, and he says, I just got here. What do you say? You want to say hi? You're annoying. I don't know why you started so early. We're going to start this again after I put this thing down. I'll say what he's saying just in case you can't hear it.
I've been crystal clear on this for many, many years.
I've been crystal clear on this for many, many years. What does Viva say when someone says, "Let me be clear"? What's going to come out of their mouth more often than not is dishonest, misinformation, rubbish. What comes out of Justin Trudeau's mouth after this? Disinformation, rubbish.
I do not think any provinces should be proactively, preemptively using the notwithstanding clause.
The notwithstanding clause, section 33 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, provides that provinces, to protect themselves from the overarching authority of the Supreme Court of Canada, can specifically enact legislation that specifically violates certain provisions of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Not all. There are some rights that cannot be abrogated, even by virtue of the notwithstanding clause, but others can. Linguistic rights can be usurped under section 33. I'm trying to think of other ones. You could be ordered to work or go back to work. Certain provisions of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, those guaranteed God-given rights, can be violated if they're specifically violated by a specific provision of law that the government says we are specifically violating, or we're enacting legislation notwithstanding certain provisions. There are certain requirements. It can't last longer than 5 years. The idea being that there will be a new election, and if a government invokes this clause abusively, they'll get voted out of office. That's section 33.
What we're doing is suspending fundamental rights and freedoms and preventing the courts from even being able to weigh in on that.
What they are doing is they are suspending certain fundamental rights and freedoms. What did he say here? And preventing the courts from being able to weigh in on that?
Even being able to weigh, and preventing the courts from even being able to weigh in on that.
This is beyond offensive, and it's beyond shocking, and it's beyond nauseating. This is it's not Alinsky's rules of radicals, accuse others of what you are doing to create confusion. It was actually attributed to Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's propaganda minister. Accuse your enemy of doing what you are doing so as to create confusion. I don't think it's one of Alinsky's rules for radicals. In fact, I'm certain it's not, and people oftentimes mistake it for that. Justin Trudeau is accusing the provinces of usurping fundamental rights and freedoms and then preventing the courts from adjudicating on that. What did Justin Trudeau just do? The notwithstanding clause it's analogous to the Emergencies Act because you're invoking legislation that violates or usurps fundamental rights and liberties. What did Justin Trudeau do when he invoked the Emergencies Act? He violated fundamental rights and liberties. What did Justin Trudeau do when he enacted the mandate that unvaccinated Canadians can't board planes and trains to travel across a country that's nearly 4,500 kilometers across? He violated fundamental rights and liberties. He basically said to Canadians 13 years and older, you're second-class trash citizens. You don't get on the planes and trains with us. You're not going to put at risk our kids. You want to go cross-country for a funeral? Drive. Suck it up. You racist, misogynist, anti-vaxxer, anti-science. Suck it up and drive. Oh, don't have a car? Too bad. You're going to miss that funeral. You're going to miss that wedding. You're going to miss that graduation. He violated fundamental rights and freedoms of Canadians with that particular provision, the ban on unvaccinated children from boarding planes and trains. And what did he do? When Brian Peckford challenged that and took it to the federal court, what did he do in the interim? Rescinded that unconstitutional, unconscionable, inhumane provision, and then said, no controversy anymore. I rescinded. They didn't even rescind it, by the way. They suspended it. We're suspending that violation of human rights. And now you have no court case. And what did they do? They moved the court for a motion to dismiss for mootness. And what did the court do? Granted it. What did Justin Trudeau do? That pathological, narcissistic, gaslighting psychopath. He violated fundamental rights and freedoms. And then he basically and effectively deprived the citizens of their ability to even challenge those provisions in courts because he suspended the provision and then moved to dismiss, and the court dismissed the lawsuit. And now he's lecturing provinces. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. And now he has the audacity to lecture and criticize provinces for doing exactly what he actually did. I'm just going to see if I just got to text, make sure my dad's not texting me to tell me to calm down. And the government declared it moot. Oh, what's that? Hey, if he does it again, come back to court. Oh, what's that? You've been in court for 9 months? You've racked up $150,000 in legal fees, Peckford? Oh, too bad, Buttercup. That's democracy. That's Canadian democracy for you. I don't feel better. I actually am still quite frustrated with this. All right, let me go see that we are live on Rumble. We are. Let me see if I see WEF chanting in the chat here. I see liar, liar. I see traitor. I see Joe Biden says no joke. Yeah, Joe Biden says no. Joe Biden says here's the deal. Here's the deal. Bullcrap coming out of his mouth next. Okay. Was unable to find the Give Send Go for MacKenzie. If you're spelling MacKenzie that way, that's going to be the reason why. It's givesendgo.com/MacKenzie, MacKenzie. What I'm going to do now before I forget, I'm going to put the link to the Rumble because we're going to go to Rumble after I finish ranting a little bit more about some Canadian stuff. I'm getting a Candace Owens ad on my on the YouTube video. Oh, all that shilling for the Daily Wire has paid off. I'm getting Candace Owens advertising on my YouTube channel. That's a joke, and we're going to talk about that in a second also. Link to Rumble. Here we go. Pin. Okay, the link to Rumble's there. We're going to go to Rumble after we talk about some Canadian stuff. Let me go here because I see. Okay, standard disclaimers. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the Rumble rants, the support. Just so you know, YouTube takes 30% of a super chat. If you don't like that and you want to support the channel, we are simultaneously streaming on Rumble, where Rumble has Rumble rants. Rumble takes 20% of their cut of Rumble rants. So better for the platform, better for the creator. It's a free speech platform that genuinely respects free speech. Flip side, other way to support, you can get some merch, vivafry.com, or you can support us at locals, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. I'm not reading that. Sorry, I didn't even read that one. I've got some comments that I flagged because I want to talk about them afterwards. Jonah Ryan, Viva, look into the plan for movement of people and goods. It advises stakeholders before government agencies when they close the border from 2022. Okay, I'll keep that. Screen grab that. Ginger Ninja, I love you, Viva. Really, I'm just surprised at your level on the DW situation. Beyond SC's tactics, did you watch the whole pool show or just clips? I watched the whole pool show. I was the one making the clips. I'll get to it, Ginger Ninja. And it's an amazing thing. This pool, this Daily Crowder, Daily Wire, Stephen Crowder debate has now, look, it's become the litmus test. It's become the if you don't agree with me, you have to be compromised. It's like we are now adopting tactics akin to what we've seen on the other side in terms of demonizing anybody who disagrees with you on one issue, level discourse. It's disheartening, and we're going to get to it. Forced name change. What do you have against the francophones? Hostie Chris is the French Canadian way of. Oh, okay. So we're going to get into Jeremy MacKenzie, the madness in Canada, and then when we go to Rumble, we're going to talk about Daily Wire, Stephen Crowder. But before we get there, people, because I have sponsors, and because there comes obligation with freedom, but there also becomes a source of pride with being able to do business with products that you like and use. By the way, products that you like and use. Let's start with the first sponsor of the channel, Birch Gold. Now, there is no one out there. Gold is a form of idolatry. You know, worshiping statues. It goes back to biblical times. Worshiping idols and worshiping statues is a form of idolatry. That being said, when it comes to a form of investment, it's a good investment. Gold is gold. It stood the test of time for 5,000 years for good, I should say precious metals, because birch gold is not only about gold, it's about precious metals. When the government is out there spending and spending and spending, and how do you protect the money that you've worked hard to make? You can go plop it into a stock market, and as far as I'm concerned, it's legalized gambling, which I partake in from time to time, but it's legalized gambling. You can go into crypto and, take your chances there. Or you can, just put the money that you've worked hard to earn in a bank, let it sit there and let it lose value just by virtue of sitting there when you see inflation going through the roof because of incompetent or corrupt government policy. In the States, it might come from the endless trillions and printing cash, shipping money overseas, whatever. In Canada, it might be something similar. Gold is, it's been around for thousands of years because it's a pretty easy way to make sure that you preserve the money that you've worked hard to earn. You can take a chance on the market. God bless. I plopped a little money in Tesla. Or you can just roll over some of your 401k into precious metals. It doesn't 10x overnight, but it doesn't 10x down overnight. And there's a reason why it stood the test of time. At the end of the day, also, when it comes to these services, you're buying a service and not better gold through Birch Gold. The gold is 99 point whatever mint gold. You're buying a service. You're buying a responsive service. You're buying a company that's going to reach out to you, listen to you, get back to you. Birch Gold has what do they call them? A+ ratings with the Bureau of Better Business, thousands of happy customers, countless 5-star reviews. Secure your future with gold. I wouldn't mind, having a few gold coins and just sitting there like Golem looking at them, but it's a good way to protect the money that you've made. birchgold.com/Viva. You get a free info kit. And if you have the money to invest in gold, it's a tough thing. You got to make the money. You got to save the money. You got to preserve the money. And then you got to invest the money in a way that will hedge inflation, will hedge market volatility. And gold has been one of the time-tested true ways of doing it. birchgold.com, promo code Viva. Link is in the pinned comment. And thank you for a good sponsor and the luxury and the privilege of being able to work with sponsors that I actually trust. Okay, I love francophones despite Justin. He's not a francophone, by the way. He's more anglophone than francophone. His father was francophone. His mother was not, I think. Okay, Birch Gold ad reads, Candace own adverts. You signed the contract, didn't you? No, what I love is I get Jordan Peterson ads over my YouTube videos. I get Epoch Times ads over my videos. I've reached out to Epoch Times. They should probably just do direct advertising. Okay, people, we're going to talk about the Crowder thing later when we go over to YouTube. And I've flagged some comments that I want to talk about. But we're going to start with the Canadian stuff. For those of you who don't know, Canada seems to be in a slow, steady, and rapid decline into absolute China level. What is it called? It's ESG. I always forget. It's like social credit system. What is it? What is the acronym? In the chat, I have two questions in the chat. What is that acronym for the social credit system? Because we're moving there, not just quickly. I was having a discussion with someone who's older, smarter than me, and who basically says, we're already there. Deal with it. And I'm like, I know we're already there, and this is how I'm going to deal with it, by screaming into the abyss, by shaking my fist like Abe Simpson at the sky, at the madness. If you don't know what's going on with Jeremy MacKenzie, chat, I've talked about what's going on with Jeremy MacKenzie, but did I do it since? We talked about it Sunday very briefly, and we've got developments. There's developments in the Jeremy MacKenzie case. Jeremy MacKenzie, Diagolon founder, the extremist. I mean, by the way, he started a fictitious land on the interwebs known as Diagolon after noticing that, the states and provinces that were fighting, harder against these COVID mandates seem to follow a diagonal line across continental North America from, Alaska to Florida. So they called it Diagolon. Then because they were being called like some sort of extremist organization, they humorously posed with their hunting rifles and firearms, legally procured from what I understand, and took a picture of this radical terrorist group, Diagolon. And the government of Canada bought the meme. Like Kekistan, the government of Canada thought Diagolon is a true extremist organization. And they relied on Diagolon in the debates leading up to the invocation of the declaration of the Emergencies Act to violently suppress the most peaceful protest the world has ever seen. Jeremy subsequently was arrested on gun-related charges, and I think it had something to do with the photograph, and I don't know what the other portions of the charges are. Got arrested on, I'll say like rather tardy, but let's just call them allegations of assault. Arrested, detained for 2 months, much of it in solitary confinement because he refused to submit to the COVID test. And they had to, safety people, they have to put him in solitary because if he refuses to do the PCR test that like takes a piece of your brain out, I'm joking, it doesn't do that, but it goes very far up. He refused to submit to that test, and they had to keep him in solitary because of science and safety, people. He testified during the Public Order Emergencies Commission hearing. And he's a political dissident. There's no question about it. 2 months in jail, denied bail, solitary confinement, flown from Nova Scotia to Saskatchewan on a nationwide warrant. Well, after they let him out of jail, the persecution didn't stop there. Friday afternoon last, Jeremy MacKenzie gets a call. You know what? I should probably play that. Gets a call from Scotiabank, a rep at the Scotiabank. And the call basically says, "Hi, Jeremy. Sorry about the inconvenience. We're going to have to debank you, shut your bank accounts down, pull your shit out, and go home." So, sorry, that's right. You're home. Well, we're going to probably have to take you home sooner than later because get out. No more banking with you. 30 days to close up, find an alternative, and good luck. Oh, and by the way, we'll still take your mortgage payments. Can you imagine this? Scotiabank, apparently, he has his mortgage with them. Scotiabank says, we're going to cancel your bank account, get your stuff and leave, but continue paying us for the mortgage that we've granted you. Here, hold on 1 second. Present, share. Here we go. I'll play some of the audio. It's just
their side of its risk appetite. So typically we don't call customers in these situations, but I recognize you've been a long time client of the bank, so wanted to call to give you the courtesy of the heads up.
Which part of it is too risky for the bank? Is that my military pension?
I'm afraid I don't have any other details.
So they just said,
I wanted to let you know.
So just to recap, I'm being debanked. I'm banned from the bank. There is no reasons given. There is no one to contact. and that's it. Is that about right?
So just on there will be some contact information on that letter that you can use.
Okay, hold on. I want to get to the part.
I'll have to talk to somebody else about.
Well, there's I don't think we need to listen to the whole thing, but you can go find it on my Twitter feed. Hold on. Actually, we just got to the part right there. He says, I understand your frustration. I understand your frustration, Jeremy. Listen to this.
Yeah, it's not. You don't though. It's not frustration. This is catastrophically ruinous to most people. I can't imagine this is something typically people deal with. So I don't appreciate people saying you understand, because you certainly don't. Have you ever been debanked before and had your mortgage cut? I mean, my children live there. So what, were they just homeless now? Or like, these are things I have to deal with now. Yeah. So please don't, condescend to me and say that you understand my frustration. This is far beyond frustration, sir.
Calmer than I'd be under those circumstances. We understand your frustration. So that's what happened to Jeremy MacKenzie. Now, I will get to Jeremy MacKenzie Badman in a bit. I started, first of all, no one in Canadian media, with the exception, as far as I know now, I was on Richard Surrett Talk Saga yesterday. I'm looking at Pudge. She's jiggling her legs, and I'm looking to see if that's because she's pooping. I was on with Richard Surrett yesterday. He covered this. I've been talking about it. There have been some independent alternative media talking about it. No one in mainstream media is talking about it. Nobody. Radio silence. And I'll give them credit. It's actually impressive. It's actually impressive how they've understood no media coverage, because even if it's to demonize Jeremy, and say this radical extremist who made jokes about assaulting Pierre Poilievre's wife, even if they say he got what he deserved, it would be bad publicity, because any publicity for this would be bad publicity. You may recall, did I bring this up? During the convoy, Scotiabank was one of the first, I think one of the first, if not the only bank, to apologize for freezing the bank accounts of some of the protesters, the participants in the convoy. Some of them. Once upon a time, by the way, look at this. This is from March 11, 2022. Once upon a time, they apologized when it was politically expedient to do so. They apologized when what they did was so radically unpopular, when what the government did and when what the banks did was so radically unpopular, it caused something of a run on the banks, causing problems for the banks. Then they apologized. They're like, whoa, people, we're sorry. It was a mistake. We shouldn't have done this. We won't do it again. Don't pull all your money out because we don't have the money in the coffers in the back. We're sorry. They did it then, only to discreetly, when nobody's paying attention, do the exact same thing again to Jeremy MacKenzie. But this is an article written by Rex Murphy in the National Post. National Post, as far as any of the Canadian publications go, has been the best insofar as it's not the trash that the Toronto Star is. The vile, vitriolic, hate-filled trash that is the Toronto Star. They're better. This is Rex Murphy. Canada's big banks have much to answer for after blindly following Trudeau's emergency orders. Why did the banks bend so quickly and so cravenly to the Trudeau government's emergency orders? Have they no courage at all? Good question, Rex. Good question. I have a question for you. Why aren't you asking this very same question right now? Why aren't you talking about this? Rex Murphy, National Post. Now, I tweeted this out and tagged Rex Murphy and the National Post. In credit to Rex Murphy, he didn't block me yet, so I guess that's good. Let's see here. Just pulling a relevant part of the article. The banks have huge questions to answer, and like the We affair, they are being forgotten in the present moment. The main one is, why did the banks bend so quickly and so cravenly to the Trudeau government? Have they no courage at all? And while I'm at it, answer this. Would the big banks have the stomach to freeze the accounts of Black Lives Matter protesters or environmental activists or anyone who advocates for the woke cause of the moment? I doubt it. We have not heard a single bank president, not one, pose a question, make a comment, or say a word about the perfectly compliant acceptance of Trudeau's unprecedented edict. They should be ashamed of themselves. But being bank presidents, one must assume shame is a foreign emotion. Psychopaths. And courage is something that comes into play only when protecting their bloated emoluments. This is despicable. National Post. Rex, you talk a big game. You talk a big game. Why haven't you said a damn word about Scotiabank debanking Jeremy MacKenzie? You know why? Because I'm sure Rex Murphy says, well, he said anti-Semitic things, Jeremy MacKenzie. Jeremy MacKenzie made a joke about a very bad thing with Pierre Poilievre's wife. Yes. Oh, okay. Setting aside the fact that you may not find it funny, and I don't, and I think it's a stupid thing to say, and I said it at the time, it makes it very difficult for people who publicly support the cause at large to support Jeremy in particular when he goes out and says things which he might think is funny, to say at a 2:00 in the morning live stream when you might have, had, and I'm not saying this to be like demeaning, like, you get drunk, you have fun, and you say things which your crowd understands what you mean when you say them. Other people will not. And even if other people might understand what you're saying, they're going to pretend that they don't because they want to demonize you, and you gave them a damn good reason, and you made it very hard for people who support you to continue doing it publicly. He hasn't been convicted of a crime. He hasn't had his time in court yet. They don't debank actual rapists. Like, I don't know that Karla Homolka had a bank account, but I think she did in Canada. They don't debank murderers. They don't debank the people who are actually convicted of heinous crimes. And for the progressive crowd out there, the liberals, the progressives who believe in criminal justice reform, criminal reform, and now you're going to say, okay, I'm going to turn a blind eye when they're debanking someone who hasn't even been convicted of a crime, and the crime that he might get convicted of, potentially assault, potentially gun-related charges, and you turn a blind eye to that? Oh, but because he's such a detestable character. The joke that he made about Pierre Poilievre's wife, as offensive and inappropriate as it was, there was a time, for anybody who follows on our locals community, I posted an old SNL skit with Will Ferrell. Who in the chat's going to remember this one? When Will Ferrell was playing Turkmenian, a boss who was interviewing Pierce Brosnan for an interview. And Pierce Brosnan was being interviewed for a job, and Will Ferrell comes out. He's soft-spoken, he's calm, he's polite. He looks like the best boss on earth. And then Sherry O'Terry comes in to interrupt and says, and he says, yeah, I wouldn't have done that. And then she says, done what? It's like, you do not interrupt me. I do not put up with this bull crap. And then, he calls her a bitch, or he refers to Pierce Brosnan. I'm sorry you had to see that. She could be a real bitch. Then Chris Kattan comes in. And Chris Kattan comes in to talk to the boss and says, hey, boss, I've got this document, look it over. And then Will Ferrell says, I wouldn't have done that. And he goes, done what? And then he slaps it and then yells at him and says, this is crap. It looks like someone took a crap on the photocopier or whatever. It's a printer. And then he points to Chris Kattan and he says, I am this close to raping you. That was mainstream humor. Humor in its insane, over-the-top, egregious awfulness. What made it humor, what made it comedy, was the contrast between the appropriate and the inappropriate. That's what made it humor at the time. That's what made it mainstream SNL humor at the time. I am this close to blanking you. That was Will Ferrell. And I shared that on our locals community. I said, look, I happen to find this skit to be one of the funnier ones SNL has ever done. It was over the top. It was in your face. It was so bad you're looking at it and think, oh my God, they're actually doing this. And it was comedy. I actually jokingly said, I can't believe they didn't come to cancel Will Ferrell. That's pretty much that's pretty much along the same lines as Jeremy's joke. And now it's, can we press criminal charges? Can we debank? And even if Jeremy is found guilty, this is not something that we can tolerate in a free and democratic society, because if we tolerate it, it's no longer a free and democratic society. So blackout in the media. And in the meantime, so by the way, I set this give, send, go up for Jeremy in one of my rages, which is still pretty polite rage, Saturday nights, and it just broke $20,000. And I spoke to Jeremy. I made sure that everything was, in as much as I can verify that this was a true story. Okay. And then people are like, he didn't lose any money. We don't even know if this is true. He could be lying. And I'm like, okay, well, if he's lying, that's a 7.5 minutes of Oscar-worthy acting from whomever's on the other end of the line. And when I asked Jeremy, I said, when you get the letter from the bank, so I can pacify the people who have doubts, could you send me the letter and can I share it? And he said yes. And then he sent me the letter. I redacted it, and this is a portion of the letter, but this is basically it. The Bank of Nova Scotia has decided to terminate one or more aspects of our banking relationship with you, as noted below. We recommend that you take immediate steps to make alternative banking arrangements with another financial institution. Oh yeah, that's going to be very easy. All of this stuff, mortgage, all of this stuff, yada yada yada. And it's not just that they debanked him unilaterally in the dead of night and with media silence. Jeremy has been restricted from going on Bank of Nova Scotia premises. Take notice that you are not to enter onto the premises of the bank, including any of its lands, buildings, other structures, or any other Scotia branches or locations from this date forward without first obtaining the written permission of management, and that you may be arrested by the occupier. I guess this is like a notice not to trespass, or by the police with authority, and may be subject to prosecution. This is Canada, people. Now, some of you might say it's possible that Jeremy fabricated these documents. This is all a big scam. Jeremy's getting rich off all this. Okay. It's over the top, a little over the top. And then we got Keith in the house who seems convinced I'm a grifter. That's what's going on in Canada. That's what's going on with Jeremy MacKenzie. It's an outrage. And this is like the Alex Jones treatment. It starts with a character that you either hate or the media has convinced you to hate. And then you say to yourself, well, I'm against debanking, but Jeremy said some things. He called Schindler's List a work of fiction, and he made some jokes that I think are anti-Semitic, and he made this terrible comment about Pierre Poilievre's wife. So I'm going to let it slide this time. Oh, like I said on Richard Surrett's show last night, let's just assume that Jeremy went full out Holocaust denial. He didn't, but let's just assume he did. All right. Debanking for Holocaust deniers. All right. Hey, what's next? Let's debank for election deniers. Oh, let's debank for publicly criticizing the government. This is not a slippery slope. This is the cliff. How is Viva? It does. People. We're going to get to this also with Crowder. People don't use words properly anymore. We've gotten into like the I'll say the leftist mentality. Grifter, racist, misogynist. Just slap the label so you can try to discredit the substance of what everyone says. Do I have anything more for MacKenzie? I don't think so. The link is in my tweet. It's givesendgo.com/MacKenzie, MacKenzie. The media will cover this. They will cover this. Because it was atrocious when they did it with the protesters. It's atrocious when they're doing it now. It's not because you might even legitimately hate somebody that you can do this. This is the first step towards China-level compelled compliance. Government enforced. These are federally chartered entities. These entities are not allowed discriminating. They are bound by the charter. And it's okay. That's it. Now, before we go over to Rumble, because we're going to go over to Rumble right after I thank the second sponsor of today's show. Keith, grift. Let's not confuse grift with graft. Let's not confuse grift with hard work. Hard work and being healthy and staying healthy. I eat, I was going to say a buttload of vegetables because I do. And there's a joke in there. It's a little known fact that people have to eat about 5 to 7 servings of raw fruits and vegetables a day. And it's a well-known fact that people don't. That's not healthy. Not only do people not eat healthy, they don't exercise as much as they should. They don't get their fruits and vegetables. If you're one of those people and you're looking for a healthy alternative, it's an alternative to getting those fruits and vegetables, but nothing's better than the raw thing. Just sit there and chew them like a cow, like I do. If you can't do it, or you don't do it, or you need a healthy alternative to the soft drink that you pop down in the afternoon, fieldofgreens.com. It's the powdered greens. It is not, it's not a supplement, and it's not an extract. It is basically pulverized fruits and vegetables. You get, let me just see this here, I can't see too good. Full serving in fruits and vegetables per spoon. All of the antioxidants, the super nutrients that you get from vegetables, boosted immunity. It's made in America, which I like, and it's USDA organic approved, and it tastes good. It looks like swamp water, but that's because swamp water has all the nutrients of life. It tastes good. It's a healthy alternative to bad habits, and it's outright just healthy. If you don't get your fruits and vegetables, 1 spoon twice a day, and then cram in some fruits and vegetables because you still have to, and exercise, people. Fieldofgreens.com, promo code Viva, and you'll get 15% off your first order and 10% off a subscription if you do it. And it's good. It is good. Boom shakalaka. And I spent a half an hour on the phone with the doctor behind this company, making sure that not only is this good for me, but that this is good in general, and I'm happy. Powdered vegetables are healthy. When they're not, from my understanding, is that when you're not creating an extract, first of all, you can't really OD on it, and you're not concentrating it, and you're not changing the nature. It's like dehydrated, pulverized beef jerky, basically. When you eat dehydrated beef jerky, you get the proteins, you get the energy, well, you also get a little preservatives with meat, but this is basically like dried, pulverized, and then you mix it in water and you drink it. And it's better than an extract, and it's better than a supplement. It's food. It's basically food, which is why it's USDA organic approved. Okay, that is good now. Now, let us mosey on over. We're going to do some more Canadian stuff and some other stuff. It's not all going to be Crowder from here on in. But let's talk Crowder. Let's talk tribalism, people. It's not something that only exists on one side of the aisle. Errors in reasoning, and not just that, personalizing disagreement. Okay, I'm stopping it there. Let us all go to Rumble right now. Let's piss off. Let's do it the way. Let's do it the way I've been doing it. And by the way, just so everybody knows, like, and for the YouTube overlords, I'm not going on to Rumble to do anything that I don't do on YouTube. I put all of the stuff on Rumble, with 1 or 2 exceptions. When I did, interview Dr. Francis Christian, where I just, there's no point. There's no point in even just, trying. I put all the stuff on YouTube afterwards. What we will do is we will vote with our feet. We will vote with our dollar. We're going to use the big platform to maintain the voice, and we're going to use that and capitalize it and leverage it into building off-platform sustainable platforms. Off-platform sustainable, you know what I'm saying? Okay. I agree, but you are quite smug about the subject. You're imputing intentions, people, is never a good way to argue. I agree, but I'm smug. I get called lots of things in life. Smug is not one of them. Okay, people, fieldofgreens.com, promo code Viva. Birchgold.com, promo code Viva. Gold and vegetables, the cornerstone of every healthy living. Okay, we're ending on YouTube right now, going over to Rumble in 3,